Hello and welcome back. MC1 Gamer here, bringing you, I guess a message that I'm still alive. I'm still around. I've been away from posting anything for several weeks, and for a variety of reasons. I really wanted to make sure that I could bring a properly painted army to Adepticon. So I plan to go to Adepticon this year. I'm going to be flying out tomorrow night. And what's really important here is that I make a reasonable showing, a good showing. I have no illusions that my painting skills are up to snuff to win, or even to place very high. There are some magnificent painters out there that in the hobby, and far above and beyond what I'm capable of. But I want to be able to actually show something that is that goes to the top level of my prowess, and do it as an appreciation for the opponents that I'm going to be facing, because I think that sometimes when you paint for just as much, if not more, for your opponent than for you, because a lot of times your opponent is seeing more of the front-facing portions of your army than you are, and if they're going to put in the time to do a great job painting, I think that you need to do it as well, or at least strive to do that. And I've been striving for a while, so I've engaged with a lot of the people in the PMP. This is, if you don't know what this is from the Warhammer YouTubers community, which is a great community. If you haven't joined it or gotten involved with it, get involved on Google Plus. It's a coalition of people that are either content providers like myself, people who have regular shows like Andy 2D6 and Remington, as well as Tom and Vince from Warhammer Weekly and many others. As well as people who just frequent them and are part of the community as viewers and conversationalists. But the real interesting part of this community is the offshoot, which is the PMP, which is Painters Motivating Painters. And it's a great community, some really, really talented people. And these are people that have helped me up my game in a big way. I credit Vince more than anyone else, but there's plenty of people, and I can't name them all because there's so many that have been absolutely integral to getting me to actually put more paint on my models in the quote-unquote battle against the gray. So I consider myself a young budding champion of the battle against the gray. So I've really been working the last several weeks to try and get these models ready. Now I put some stuff together for Holy Wars, which was earlier this month, where which I went to with Tom. I think I did fairly well getting at least something that was reasonable on the table, and some of these units needed a little bit of love, but I rushed to get this stuff ready for that. But I wanted to take the time to make sure that the stuff for Adepticon was up, raised up a notch, and plus add several units to the array of War Scrolls that I want to be bringing. So I want to show you some of those pictures. So I'm going to start off with, I'm going to go ahead and share. I'm going to start off with a picture that I brought to Adepticon. And let's go start with that. So this is what I brought to Adepticon, and it's a compilation of the hex wraiths, which I'm sure that everybody has seen. And I'll show pictures of that as well, just to kind of illustrate some of what I've done previously. I've expanded upon this army substantially, but being that there's going to be like a 2,500 point event on Thursday, and then the 2-day 2,000 point championship, I wanted to obviously add to this list. So that was the main goal, and then of course spruce up some of this stuff because I didn't really finish out or even add some garnishes and flavoring to some of the bases. So that was a huge goal that I wanted to embark upon as well. So you'll see some of those updates, and if you want to, feel free to engage me in chat. We have a live chat going. I finally figured out how to do that, as well as the fact if you want to post a comment on this stuff afterwards, if you want to know how I did it, or if you have any suggestions or comments, I'm always looking to learn. And as I said, I really credit this hobby challenge that the PMP puts out. This is mostly Vince, but so many people are engaged in it and provide feedback. To really getting me again to finish some of these. This is a project I've had for part of 4 years now. And when I came back into Warhammer 8th Edition, before Age of Sigmar came out, before I even heard the rumors of it, I wanted to come back and do a Musalon themed, i.e. Bretonian undead themed army. So I wanted to kit bash just this massive army. And I just converted tons of stuff, but I only had various things in various stages of paint. So I'm really happy to kind of get through the other side of that crucible for most of this army. This is not the entirety of the army by no means. And what you're seeing here is probably half of what I've got painted. So, but this is what I brought to Holy Wars, and I was really happy with it. Now, previous to that, I had brought the Hex Wraiths, which again you see here, but I'll go and show them real briefly. But I updated some of this stuff. So here, let's go start from the bottom here, and we'll talk about some bat swarms. I hate the bat swarms from GW, so I got some of these from Reaper, and I just painted them up. I didn't really go to town on these. I didn't go crazy at all, just because they're bat swarms. How often am I going to use them? I use them for certain lists or certain situations where I have flexible summoning to inhibit some shooting. So I got, two bases of two. I mean, two units of two, and it's not much to really be said here. So I'm going to kind of breeze past these. But this is what I've been working on for a long time now. I have 10 more of these I have to paint. They're in different stages of finality. But I really wanted to get these out for Adepticon, for Holy Wars, and then I kind of spruced them up a little bit for Adepticon, but they need a little bit of help. And I'm certainly going to even further go a couple extra miles with these down the road, because there's some blending and shading that I need to do. But these are my Grail Knight Blood Knights. And again, for Soul Blight, I want to have 10 more. I have 2 units of 5 ready to go. And I'm going to be updating this banner. I had this banner done for me a couple years back as a favor from Materim's wife. I kind of cleaned it up a little bit, but it's not exactly what I want. So I want to update those. And that's magnetized, so I could take it off. These are Grail Knights that have obviously succumbed. This entire army succumbed to Nagash's will during the end times, and are now still in his forces. So they still have the look and feel of the old Bretonnia, but they're completely built as an undead army, a death army. So this particular unit, I used the core is the chargers, the horses from the Bretonians, the helms, the heads from the Bretonians, the lances from the Bretonians, but the bodies are the old school metal Chaos Knights. And I just love them because they have these really cool cloaks. And although I only went with like a grayish kind of fur color, there's a little bit of there's another color tone in there, but it's mostly a gray color. I did that because when I was going to use a kind of a beige to brown to black fade, there's a lot of yellow and browns on these models already, and I just didn't want to add on to that. I wanted something that was a contrast, because my goal was to obviously really make the skin, the bear skin or wolf pelts or whatever they are, to really kind of pop. But the color version of that from demo stuff that I've seen that Vince has done and from other people that have done to make it a little bit more elaborate and realistic. I've also saw a tutorial on, for instance, on Tabletop Minions, Uncle Tom, and excuse me, not Uncle Tom, Uncle Adam, and the scheme there didn't fit with this color. It was just too much of the same, so I wanted some contrast. So just consider that. The guy on the absolute right, his lance broke when I was at Holy Wars, so I looked at this as an opportunity to kind of fix that. And you'll see it in the next picture. You can see that I got this guy here. I just took one of these bodies from the that was mounted on a spear on the corpse cart, and I kind of used that as a repair, and I think it actually looks great, as if he's been speared and has just been sitting there ever since this poor guy's been speared. But this is another angle, so you can see I've added some more stuff onto the bases. I don't think they're absolutely finished, but I needed to do something that was just within a time allotment to get something onto the bases beyond just the dry brushing and some bushes. I'll probably get some barrens grass. I want to really kind of a deadened wasteland type feel for these. So I don't want it to be too green or too flowery. In any case, the thing that I'm most happy with is the thing I was most concerned about, which was putting on the decals. Getting that matte varnish underneath, putting decals on, and then sealing them. And they really came out great. And I'm really happy with how that turned out. So these Blood Knights, I only have a unit of 5. They're pretty effective. They hit nice and hard the first turn, but then they're just tanks afterwards. They don't really do a lot of damage after the fact, but they're very effective, and I like them. And I'm really happy with the way they came out. So moving on to the next thing. This is I put a lot of time into this one. This is my Coven throne with kind of a Musalon feel. So again, if you don't know Musalon, it's black and gold or black and yellow coloration. These were undead Bretonnians that were in the fluff. There is a wealth of fluff. So if you don't know about this stuff, go ahead and read up on it. And as I did with a lot of my ghosts, I put this kind of pillow stuffing. This is not cotton. I wouldn't recommend cotton for anything to make like a little misty images. But I put that at the bottom of the Coven throne. You can see that I've put in a lot of converting for the Bretonnian heads, but really wanted to go with this. I was a little unsure about the yellowish, coloration for the witches, not the witches, the vampire ladies that I guess that are from of the Coven, but it turned out to be pretty good. I kind of like the way it turned out, and this is a little bit whitewashed from the lighting, so this looks a little bit too bright. I can tell you that there's a lot more deep shadows in this, but this was a really, really fun build, and I'm just going to zoom in a little bit here. And I was just concerned that maybe I wasn't up to snuff to paint the ladies, the gals, and this is one of those things where rise to the challenge and see, here's a better close-up. See what you can do. I mean, this is a little bit whitewashed. They look a little bit too pale here. We don't see any of the contrast. They're not quite this singular color. And it's and so there's a little more to it, but this was definitely something that I had to work on, especially the garments, their dresses, to try and make it give some nice blending and some and shading, and that's something I wanted to use to up my game a little bit, and that's something I'm going to work on in further projects. But I was really happy with how this turned out. Another picture from the other side. This is, by the way, magnetized, so I can switch it off with another top part to make it a mortise engine. And I have a mortise engine as well, so I can do a double mortise engine, which I actually thought about bringing to this event. So here we go. That's the Coven throne. We'll move on. Let's see. Okay, yeah, I got a lot of pictures of these apparently. And you can see the mist actually works out really well. I'm pretty happy with how that turned out. All right, so this is, I'm going to move forward. This is the hex wraiths. If you've seen my channel previously, you probably have seen these. They also have the misty, pillow stuffing underneath for that misty portion. Easy to miss that with the white background, but these guys are kind of where I wouldn't say perfected, but I honed the skill for making the ghostly ethereal image. And my first pass got a lot of feedback from the PMP and said you need more contrast, and I went to town with that. And even this is a little bit too bright to show some of the contrast with some of the recesses. But it was a long process, and I really took the time to kind of make it work. And, I see some imperfections and some mistakes that I need to work on as well already here. But I think these came out. These are hex wraiths, but they're also questing knights. These are failed questing knights. And I think it worked out well because questing knights are supposed to have these great weapons. So do hex wraiths. So it really worked into my theme, and I'm pretty proud of these. These I would consider, these are my creation. I came up with this idea. I think I was one of the first people to do this. But I would have to say that the Grail Knights, I copied a lot of the aesthetic. I copied from a number of these units were from different people that I had seen that built similar armies over the last several years that I had found before I came back in. So I borrowed a lot of stuff from people. But this one, I hadn't seen anybody do this before me, at least not to my knowledge. So I'm pretty proud of these, and I'm pretty excited to get these on the table. I've got 10 of them. So yeah. Okay. Next thing is this was a challenge too. I used in this technique. I used washes and glazes to kind of get the effect from a white and gray primer base, and really wanted to see how far I could go with that. I watched Vince's video. I'd seen some stuff on Warhammer TV. That showed how these guys speed painted with more washes and were able to get let me just tell you, I got to work on this technique. It wasn't as speedy as I thought, but that's when you're learning a new technique, that's what you have to do. You have to try it and then figure it out. So, but I'm really happy with how this guy came out. I put a lot of work into him. It took the better part of a week, but he came out much better than I expected. And it didn't look so great when I first started, especially when I was doing each of the individual sections with just glazes, or just washes and glazes. But wow, when it all came together at the very end, and certainly there's some edge highlighting and dry brushing and some solid, standard layered painting and blending and stuff. But the end product, really, you can't even tell. He's got the glowing green eyes here, just because of the shade and the back. It just came out really well, and I wanted to get like a little crackling energy on this skull top here, and blended a lot of his hat so that and the back of his staff with kind of like this skinish, this gray hide, whether it was bat hide or whatever. And then there was a lot of skin, flesh on his body areas. And hey, this is pretty cool how it came out, considering that I never done this technique before. I'm very happy with it. It was a little scary, but I got to say, trust in the people who are coaching you when you look at some of these tutorial videos. Certainly better painters than I am, and test these out. I wouldn't necessarily test it out on a high-end model. I don't know how often I'm going to use Heinrich Kemmler, but it's nice to try it out on a test model and see if you can hone those skills there. But don't be afraid to try new things, because that's how you can add some new skills to your toolbox. And this is definitely something that I'm gonna try and expand upon, because I'm just absolutely flabbergasted at. I'm really happy at how he came out, because I got to tell you, I really was terrified about trying this technique, and I thought this model with all the different colors and stuff and such, I wasn't sure if they were going to come out. This was going to come out very well. This is my other. This is the Mortis engine, the other version of the kit with the Coven Throne. And while I wanted to have a prophetess be the necromancer on the top, because I had a model for it, I just couldn't get it done in time. So I have a secondary platform that I can these are magnetized. The platforms can come off. So I'm going to probably do that for the second one. But I wanted to get this one ready made. I spent a lot of time on this energy battery that's inside of this bone cage, and you really can't even see it. So if you're ever going to make it here, you can see it. I did a lot of contrast. I did all of the candles and the dripping candles and all that stuff. Let me tell you, if you're going to make this model, you haven't painted this already, don't go crazy on the stuff that's inside the bone cage, because I don't know if people are going to see it that much. Okay, so yeah, and you can see I converted up the riders to also be Bretonians to stick with the theme. Here's another picture from the other side. So, again, added a few things to the base just to give it some interesting, more than just the blank base scheme. But let's move on to the next thing, which is something that I'm sure a lot of people are going to moan and groan about, which is the Mourngull. So I did not dehorse my Mourngull. I had a second one that I had actually played with. I used a mold for this guy and made it up, but I got rid of it. I only want one. I don't want to go for the 2 Mourngull, no matter what the list is. It is plenty of things to add in for that many points. I like having the Mourngull. I don't think it's overpointed or overpowered. It's got a limited range on what it can do, but it is a scary thing to put on the table. It's hard to remove. You got to divert a lot of attention to get rid of this thing, and that's something that's worthwhile as far as I'm concerned. So I wanted to kind of really make it a bloody mess for the horse. And provide, again, this is a little bit overly saturated with the lighting because the contrast is much better. I wanted to show some of the depth between these ethereal ribs. I don't know how you get ethereal ribs and the outer layer of skin. But I also wanted to really show that this, the gouging of the horse. If I were to do a second one, I would dehorse. But I like the idea of the horse for your primary. So there's my Mourngull. This is a prophetess, which is a necromancer. Now she's on a nightmare. So you can see the rear half of the mount is from the chargers from the Bretonians. The front half is actually from the Marauder kit, which I thought really made a nice dark looking mount and was perfect for the theme that I wanted for nightmares. So here's the flip side. Yeah, there's some edge highlighting stuff that and some shading that I need to improve upon. This is the first of the models from this line that I actually completed. So I've learned a few things since then, and just in the short period of time. But still, she came out pretty good. She's also magnetized. I have another rider that I can put on this, so I can take her off and use the mount. This is the first of 2 sets of spirit hosts. Again, I wanted a theme that kind of fit with the look and feel of a Bretonian undead army. So I wanted to have 2, in each of these 3 units, I have 2 men-at-arms and 1 that is kind of like a mounted knight, even though, and they look different from the Hex Wraiths, even though there's some similarities. But I wanted to have it look like it was just a detachment with each group of 3, and I have 3 groups of 3. I'm only bringing 2 because I only had 2 completed for this run. I don't know if they'll see the table. I might be summoning them, but I used the Lord of the Rings on the ethereal units from that line, and I just added some fleur-de-lis shields to give them a little bit more of a Bretonian feel. I really like the way these guys came out. I didn't go crazy with the bases either, but I just enough to give it some flourish. This is the second unit of 3. So again, they might look a little bit the same, but not quite. A little bit of a different pattern and sculpt on each of these. A little bit further away, the mist looks better. When you get close up, you can see what it's really made of. But still, that pillow stuffing is much better. If you're ever going to do something like this, just do not use cotton. Cotton gets all dark and dingy. If it touches any kind of water, it's just going to kind of absorb it. This stuff is not absorbing any moisture. It's kind of like not a silicone, but it's kind of a synthetic material. Could be like a polyester material. I don't know what it's made of. All I know is that it's spongy. It looks like mist. It looks like cotton, but it doesn't have any impact when you put any kind of moisture near it. And I would like to find more of this stuff. I have a bundle of it for future projects, but it really was perfect for this. And yeah, it looked great. And yeah, Thomas, thanks for the comment. I'm really happy with that came out. The mist. All right, so these I showed before. I had to rebase these guys. These are Undead Pegasus, and these I can use as either Fellbats. I've used them before as Fellbats, but I'm using them most of the time recently as Carrion. And I love these guys. I have 6 of them, I think. And so I had to rebase them and put some different stuff on there. I needed to kind of update some of the paint because some of the stuff chipped off. And I want to go do another pass on these guys as well. This is another set of 3, so I have some that are higher than others. They are a pain because they're so high up off their bases, and they have that fly high special ability as Carrion. So they were tipping a lot. So I actually put them on a little bit of bigger sized base than they probably needed to be. But these are the metal Carrion wings, and I love them because they just have this great. They just look like undead Pegasi. And then here's a picture of all 6. So, yeah, we'll probably see these hit the table, or at least 3 of them, if not all 6. Not incredibly powerful, but they do have a purpose in the game. This was the Manfred, old Manfred metal, the mounted Manfred model, but I wanted to turn him into a mounted Vampire Lord. His lance also broke off at Holy Wars. So I added this little kind of warpish effect to the lances to kind of reattach it and reinforce it, and I think it actually looks better. So I actually saw somebody who did something like this with an undead army going back several years, and I saw that the army was actually up on eBay, and I wanted to grab it, and I missed it. So it would have been great. I would have had several units that would have been perfect. I'm mixed about that because I'm glad I did it myself, but I would have had a really awesome looking army or portions of this army that somebody else would have done. Now, looking back, I'm glad I'm doing this myself. But I saw this idea that this guy had put out there. If he's watching, if he sees this, I don't know who it is, but he did a better job than I did, I have to say. And this is not fully complete because there's certain extra stuff I want to do on the metals, on the edges, some additional highlighting, certainly on the lance with the flag on the lance. But he came out well. I've used him as Manfred as well, so I can do that. But I wanted to use him as again a Vampire Lord mounted on a Nightmare because it just was also very fitting as a for Bretonnian army. And this is with his kind of big brother. This is an Abyssal Terror that the Vampire Lord's mounted. His arm is magnetized so that giant lance can be raised up straight up and down. If you have a picture of that later, or pointed straight out ahead. What I really like is this hunting dog that I put down there. I'll probably have a better picture of it on the next slide. But he's substantially bigger and he's on a bigger base. I was going to put some wings on it. You actually took this also from somebody else's conversion that I had seen many years back, and they used, which many people have, Arcane's mount as the basis, but they had these nice wings, and I couldn't find the wings for Bellicor. Well, I just found the rings for Bellicor, so I might be adding them on to the future because he can fly, but because it's a Nightmare, he doesn't need wings. So I haven't been using them, but I'm probably going to add wings because I think it looks better. So yeah, here he is from the flip side. I'll probably have the wings mounted right here and sticking off. I didn't put the wings on also because I couldn't find any good wings. I was looking at the Vargeist wings, just wasn't right. Chaos Demon Lord wings, Demon Prince wings just didn't fit right. But here's another better picture of the hunting dog, which is just a little mini hellhound with the same type of fiery mane picture stuff, and plenty of skulls. I had somebody that asked me about all the skulls. More skulls on some recent Twitter posts. And wow, yeah, I've been adding skulls, man. So there's a minimum allotment you need to have the proper amount of skulls, apparently. So I think this should be enough of the proper amount of skulls. I think I've got about 15 skulls on this model. And if that's not enough, hey, what can I tell you? But this is an example again of the mount, the magnetized magnetized lance that I can put it up in a top, straight up and down position. And I didn't do that for any advantageous purposes for when he's pointing forward. If you happen to play measuring model to model or anything, it was just merely for transport, because the lances are the first things that break. So if it's not a tail, it's a lance that's breaking. So I wanted to take advantage of the fact that I do a lot of magnetizing, and this worked out really well. So yeah, this is him in his lance forward position. Yeah, hey, John, it was good meeting you as well. And thanks for the nice comment at Holy Wars, John Markham. And if you're going to Adepticon, any of you guys who are watching, look me up, okay? Okay, so moving on. So that's my Vampire Lord on Abyssal Terror, who's unfortunately going to be getting a point boost, but not this event. So sometime in the future, he may be more expensive to field, which I don't agree with. But hey, it is what it is. You roll with the punches. All right, so here's my mounted White King. And he's rocking the Infernal Standard, which is awesome. The Infernal Standard's phenomenal. I wanted this fiery standard. Just this, I went with a this look for it says Infernal, so I wanted to go with a flaming standard, not just a glowing ethereal standard. So I wanted to do that. I thought it worked well with some of the colors that I picked. I might have reconsidered that just because I don't know if I did that well with the flaming look of the standard, the fiery look of the standard. But I'm really happy with how the White King came out. I think he came out. I used a standard mount from the Black Knights kit. I put the top from the infantry version of the White King on there, and added a fleur-de-lis on the top of the fiery banner. I love this guy. I don't know if you'll see the table this weekend, but he really bolsters these single wound models by giving them basically an extra 6 save before they die. So before anything else, and after anything else, all your saves, your armor saves, your allegiance save, you also then get a 6-up save if you're within range of this thing. So it's really nice to bring this thing. Your zombies and ghouls and skeletons, really, their longevity increases. The 6-up save may not seem like much, but when you got 40 guys in a unit, you're gonna roll 6s. Okay, here are my men-at-arms. These are men-at-arms for I combined them. I've had about 120 of these, and at one point I had 300 zombies in total. Man, that's a lot of work. This was soul crushing. There are 60 in this unit that I'm bringing, but I have enough for another unit of these to put on the table of 60, and I'm going to be combining them. It's going to be allowed at Adepticon. We'll see what if there's ever a further FAQ to clarify it, but it is allowable at Adepticon to merge the unit. It is the way the rule. It doesn't break the rule of 1 or any of the match play rules, although some people disagree. Not going to debate that, but yeah, it is. It's legal, and so I'm bringing, I'm bringing 3 units of these guys to combine into anywhere from 40 to 60. But this was a lot of bits. Some of these guys almost look like they're like dwarfs because they're very thick and short, and they have these big hands and heads. But overall, I like the way the look is. I combined a lot of other different heads, some ghoul stuff, also some kits from other model lines. But wanted to bring in this Men-at-Arms zombie-ish look, and put in a lot of axes in the chest and arrows through the midsection, and bashes through the skull. You can see this guy's got an arrow through his gut, and he's still going. This guy's got an axe in his neck, so that worked out nicely. And I need to make them a little more bloody and a little more purplish, but again, it's all about the time. So yeah, this guy's got a sword thrust on from the underside. This is the the musician. He uses this normally to to bang against the ground, but he's eating his instrument. So magnetized all these flags, because all the banners break off, so they're all going to be magnetized. Guy with a bone for a drum, beating the drum, percussion. Let's see. Here's another guy with a sword through his gut. So yeah, you can see there's a bunch of those types here. This guy's got a nice little indentation through his skull from what must have been a warhammer. This guy's got a gash in his neck. So yeah, there's a variety of these, and then I have some of the standards just the regular empty standards in the back there. So there's a variety of these that are there, and I didn't go crazy with all of them. Some of them I made a little better than others because when I initially made these, they were going to be on square bases for Warhammer Fantasy 8th edition. So I kind of made like the front rank a little bit more impressive, and then as I went deeper, I didn't do as much, but I never finished them. So I kind of completed these guys a little bit more to, a little higher than tabletop standard. And there's more I want to do on them, but I think they're great to get to the table now and bring to the game, and I'm really happy with the way they turned out. So this is let's see, that's pretty much the end. Let's go back to this. I'm very excited to go to my first Adepticon. I'm looking forward to and thank you for the comment. Was it Fake Near? I'm really excited to go to Adepticon and put this stuff on the table. I've got a couple other kits that are not quite complete, ready enough to put on the table, and this is maybe half of my undead army. I've got a lot more. There's a whole lot more. I don't even have the Black Knights I haven't finished up. There's the Terrorgeist, Vampire Lord and the Zombie Dragon, Nagash and all of his Mortarks, the Morghasts. I have an array of stuff. All the ghouls and Flesh Eater Court stuff. The werewolf crypt ghouls, crypt horrors that I have. All this stuff that is, Vargeist and stuff, all this stuff that is in various different stages of completion that I'm not going to be bringing, but I have, and I'll be releasing pictures of this stuff as I go. But this is the core of what I'm bringing. I have one more model that's a centerpiece model that I'm bringing that is just not ready enough to go and show. I'm hoping to finish up a little bit more today and tomorrow morning because I'm flying out tomorrow night. You just try and get that a little more table ready before I do that. So I'm not going to show it or even talk about it any further, but there's another big model that I'm going to be bringing as well. But this is the array of forces that I'm going to be bringing. What combination is going to hit the table? Well, who knows? It really depends. And I'm not going to release the entire list, but there's a lot of options here. I don't know how competitive it's going to be. I think that there's some things I can bring to the table. There's a lot of Mortal Wounds output potential. There's a lot of absorption potential and regeneration potential. There's a lot of things I can use that can stymie my opponent. I think there's a couple of things that probably don't see the competitive scene a lot, like the Coven Throne, for instance, or even the Mortis Engine. I don't see that a lot in competitive games, and I think they deserve to be shown more. Which one or both will I be using? I don't know. So that's a big question. And even if I did, again, I wouldn't be posting up my entire list right now. But I'm happy with what I'm bringing because it gives me some options, and I think it provides answers to a lot of questions. I just don't think it provides enough answers to enough questions where I'm going to be able to place very high. I overachieved at Holy Wars. I got lucky in some cases. I kind of foobarred. I screwed up some scenarios, and I'm lucky enough that I got fourth place. I definitely hit above my weight class there by the end of the event. But I don't think I'm going to duplicate that. This is a much bigger field at Adepticon. I think there's like 120, if maybe more. I don't know. I think there's like 120 players. It could be much more than that. I think if I remember correctly, it's 120. That's a lot of people. And there's people traveling from long distances with great paint jobs, really nicely converted armies, but more importantly, real competitive players. So with real battle-tested lists. So while I could have taken a more of a tournament-focused list, I wanted to take a list that was theme-oriented, but really also importantly, I wanted to take stuff that I was close to finishing the paint job, that I could bring that looked decent on the table, that would demonstrate a good quality hobby prowess, or at least a reasonably good quality hobby prowess, that would be enjoyable to watch, to play against, that also had a theme that tied it all together as well, because I think that's part of it. I think that's part of the hobby, and it's also part of I think there might be some judging that also comes into play there, but it's also for my enjoyment. This is a long-term project, not by any shot done, but I between Adepticon and there's a date, there's a deadline, and the hobby challenge. It was a 6-month hobby challenge in the PMP that Vince had fostered. This really lit the fire for me to get this stuff done, and I'm glad it did, because I'm really happy with the results. I want to improve upon those results. I still need some touching up to be done, but the fact that I have an army that I can put on the table and be reasonably proud of, that's important. So I encourage you, if you're one of those people that is hems and haws or starts and stops projects and starts other ones, that's me. I mean, I've got 5 or 6 armies that are in various different stages of completion, some of which are still in gray. Power through some of this stuff, bang out an entire unit and move on to another unit. Find a way to keep that motivation going. And these communities like the Warhammer YouTuber community and the PMP, Painters Motivating Painters, is one of those efforts to try and do that, and it really helped me. And I think it's going to help me with the hobby and help me with my game, and it helped me with my painting skills. So even though I have a long way to go in terms of improving my skills, adding new skills to my capabilities, I really expanded what I used to do. And if you saw what I used to do back when I first was playing Warhammer, I emptied out probably half of a can on a unit of Space Marines. You couldn't even see the separations between the armor plates. There was so much paint on these things. I didn't know what I was doing, but that was like 20 plus years ago. So actually longer than 20 plus years ago. But in any case, I've come a long way since then. I've also got a little bit less hair and it's a little more gray. But either way, it's the journey. It's not just the destination. So I'm just looking to have fun at Adepticon. If you're going, look me up. I'm the fat gray-haired guy, rolling dice among many fat gray-haired guys that are probably going to be there rolling dice. But come by, say hi. If I'm lucky, I'll get on Warhammer TV. If Rob graces me with the ability feeds, that would be phenomenal. But if I can just, if I get there and I'm just having some great games, I don't know how many games I'm going to do after hours, but I'm going to try and see if I can do that. Certainly meet up with a lot of people from the community that I've already been in touch with, and it'd be great to meet up with more people from the community that I've interacted with in this way. So just to tell you a little bit more of my schedule, I've got Thursday, I've got the 2,500 point Age of Sigmar event. I've got on Friday, I've got 2 seminars, one of which is airbrushing. I forget what the other one is. So I've got Friday mostly free. So I'm probably either going to be getting some gaming in or just going and checking at the dealer's room, meeting up with people. We'll see. I reached out to Warhammer Rob and said, hey, if you want a game for televising on Friday, I'm free, but I haven't heard back from him. So Rob, if you're listening, I don't know if he's watching my channel, but we'll see. I've interacted him a little bit in Twitter, but hey, I'm free. I'll be happy to go and host a game, or not host a game, but be part of a game if you don't have a content for Friday, which I'm betting they already do. But just in case, you never know. You don't ask, you don't get. So that's it. So I know that Sumerian Shadows asked me about my what other stuff I'm doing. So that's my Friday. So I got a couple of those. I got a morning and an early evening that is seminars, but otherwise I've got the days fully blocked out. So again, I'm hoping to kind of circle back and meet up with some people and just go around the con and see what's what. Saturday and Sunday are going to be dominated by the 2,000 point championship. And again, if I finish top 50%, I'll be thrilled. I'll be happy. And more importantly, just having fun and meeting some other people and rolling dice and laughing and drinking, hopefully drinking a lot. But beyond that, I have no aspirations or ideas that it's going to be better than that. If I do better than that, then it's gravy. It's all good. But I'm really hoping that I'm really hoping that this army presents itself well visually as well as performs well on the table. We'll see. And and I have some activities on Friday night that I can't really talk about right now, but I'll be happy to talk about maybe after the event, depending on how that goes. But we'll see. It's going to be something very special, I think. I'm really happy with just how this whole event is turning out, and I'm really excited to make my first foray to Adepticon. So again, look me up, MC1 Gamer. Actually, I'll have that on my badge. I didn't put my real name; I just put MC1 Gamer. But look me up, and I hope to meet you there, and I hope you have a great time at Adepticon yourself. And I'll be doing videos after the fact. If I could take pictures for the battle reports, I will. I don't know how elaborate they're going to be, but I'll be taking some pictures. I don't know if I'll do any streaming from the con. I might do some videos that I load up. So look out if there's potential for any, stuff live or any news or stuff. I'll try to post that stuff if I have time. And other than that, there'll be plenty of post stuff that I'll put out, videos and whatnot, and talk about it afterwards. Maybe might wind up doing some shows with some of the people in the community as well. Have a great weekend, and I'll be in touch. Have a great day.